Yeah, no, it was just me snorting. I'm sorry.
You
No, it's
should
okay.
be.
I'll suppress all of my bodily sounds during the
Thank you.
episodes.
I really appreciate that.
Jean-Luc saying the word bodily sounds is kind of hot, though. No theme music? Okay.
I was trying to find "Shut the Fuck Up, Jean-Luc," but
I didn't.
Hello, and welcome to another new episode of Crying in the Book Club, the hit new podcast where three emotional friends talk about comic books that make them emotional. Is it fair to still call this a new podcast 6 episodes in?
yeah.
I was just gonna ask. I feel like once we hit 10 is when we can. 10 or 12 is when the new podcast label expires.
It's when the new podcast
So
wears off.
I mean, we could still call it a hit podcast. We could be like the something like
course.
seasoned or like the award winning.
Or,
Ooh,
the only
award-winning, I
podcast
like
about
that.
comic books.
I like award-winning.
All right, I'm gonna change it in the doc right now. There you go. Award winning.
Great.
So yeah, for the next few weeks, it's gonna be the award-winning new podcast. We'll drop the new. This is how podcasts go behind the scenes, but we're given,
We're really showing you how the sausage gets made.
The
That's
all-new award-winning comics podcast #1 coming this time next year when we relaunch for the #1 because the sales are down.
Don't call it a rebirth, but we might. we might just do that. Those wonderful voices who you heard bantering back and forth are the wonderful voices of Jean-Luc Botful.
That is I. Hello.
And Emily. I don't know why I didn't say your last name.
I don't have one. That's why.
That's why. How you guys doing?
Newly removed. I'm good. I'm crawling out of the sea hole.
I might be changing my last name. When my wife has picked a new last name for their name change, and it's cooler than my existing last name. So,
Yeah, you have to do it then. That's really cool.
I'm really thinking about it.
I also like that more than like you get married to someone and there's that sort of like, oh, do we take their last name? Do we hyphenate? Do we leave it the way it is? I think like it's kind of cool to be like, let's create a new name. Let's just like
absolutely. I think couples should create a new name.
Yeah,
and it should always be a portmanteau of their existing last names.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Which would be Emily?
Jerkid.
Jerkid. See, it's
I guess I'm. That's true. I was thinking of
Kiddle.
I was thinking of Maria as Gwen's last name.
That is not.
That's not.
Actually, I just realized you probably don't know Gwen's actual last name.
I do because it was in their Twitter name like years ago.
That's true.
Real
so I do know what it is.
Real heads now.
I was thinking more like Meryl, like the Pokemon.
Meryl is
Meryl.
good.
So I feel like that would.
No, the
Meryl's
prospective last name is Moon.
Oh, hey, that is good.
Which is
really
way
cool.
cooler than my last name. So
That is a really cool name.
It's a really good Pokemon game.
Emily Moon coming soon
Emily,
to the area.
Emily Moon and Gabriel Ba? Is that the dynamic?
Emily Moon. I was gonna go with Emily Moon and Gwyn Sun. Like the Pokemon games.
Okay, yeah.
Yours is better, I have to say.
I'm more of the sun lesbian anyway.
Yeah. Gwyn has more moon vibes than you. That's definitely true.
True.
Very
true. And guys, happy Pride Month because I did not change that from the show notes. So happy Pride
Month.
That's yeah. Happy. What are we on? The 4th Pride Month in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep that.
That's good.
It's just always gonna be there. It's like yeah.
It's always Pride on Crying in the Book Club. That's why we have a rainbow in the tile of the dance floor in our logo.
Again, real heads know. And,
celebrating Pride Month by talking about everyone's favorite queer characters.
Oh, yes. But before we get to that, I just want to do a little bit of like, hey, real heads know. They know the show. They know the deal. We're 6 episodes in now. They're like, okay, well what
7.
book are you? Is this number 7? Oh my gosh, that's very embarrassing. I'm not a real head. I'm a fake head.
Well, it also, any episode could be someone's first episode.
And this is technically Alex's 6th episode.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's what happened.
We're gonna keep a separate numbering system just for episodes that Alex is in.
Like brackets in. I hope I'm in more episodes. Oh, jeez.
It's gonna be the essential listening.
See, I think the nice thing is though is that like if you're in fewer episodes, then you can be up for nominations for like guest star awards. Whereas, normally you might not be like, if you're on every episode, people might get tired of you. They won't want to nominate you for best podcast host, but best guest podcast host. Then
so I can be more irritating if I appear on less episodes.
I think that's true. I think that's how that works.
Cool. All right. Well,
I'm going to be the same level of irritating.
I now be the same level of irritating I am on every other podcast that I'm on.
Consistency, that's why people come. But, consistency. Circling back to my segue that never happened, that will happen now. Every episode's been about either a full work, like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, or an arc of something like, I don't know, have we done an arc yet, actually? I don't know, my mind just blanked.
No, we haven't.
We've only done complete stories so far.
Well, technically, we didn't do all of the Amory Wars.
I wasn't there. I don't know about this blasphemy that you guys. Okay, I will say before we leave that behind for the episode, I read that book. I did the music, and I haven't outletted it. It's just in here, and I'm not going to outlet it today. That's not happening today. But I don't know. I have thoughts and feelings about it that
a special episode
that I never wanted.
The Alex cut,
and I'm stuck with. But today we are actually looking at 5 stories.
6, right?
No, there's 5. It's a 5-way.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah. So 5 stories from a certain caped crusader throughout the ages. So we're looking at 5 different stories through Batman's history. And yeah, I mean,
I hope you guys are excited for Quinlan Voss through the ages coming soon.
Okay, there's like 5 comics there or something. I don't know, man. There needs to be more Quinlan Voss content. If you look at Batman versus Quinlan Voss, it's
true.
It's kind of sad. Unfortunately,
it's used the wrong way, but
it's true. It's true. And normally this is where we do the intro about like, oh, like who drew it or who wrote it, and it's like everyone, every big comic person, artist has probably done at least a Batman story, whether it's a Detective Comics, a Batman Black and White. It's just like, yeah, he's a pretty big deal, I hear.
Everybody just takes a crack at that guy.
Yeah. And it's remarkable how many of them are very similar, even though so many people take a crack at them. I will say the list we have today, I think there's some bit of diversity in there, but we'll get to that.
We got a nice little mixed bag.
Yeah, we got some. I gotta say, the second story in particular is like very, very strange. It's like very, I don't know. It's very Silver Age Batman stuff. But the first one that we're going to be looking at is the first Batman comic. And Jean-Luc, can you tell us a bit about Detective Comics number 27 from 1939?
1939. Damn. That's
older than this show.
That's really old.
Yeah.
It's older than me. What the fuck?
Well, you're a baby.
I know, but Batman is too.
Ayo.
Yeah, Detective Comics number 27. I always thought that it was Detective Comics number 37. For some reason, that imprinted in my mind like 15 years ago, and I've always thought of it that way.
He's a fake head.
Anyway, I wouldn't call myself like a, huge... I wouldn't claim to be a Batman head. Well,
you are, though.
Unfortunately, I am.
You want to be, yeah.
Yeah, but Detective Comics number 27, first appearance of Batman, from a very different era of comics. I mean, the Batman story in this issue is like 8 or 9 pages of a 60-page anthology comic. It's the rest of the stories in there are all like other detective stories about other characters. They don't have anything to do with the Caped Crusader. And there's probably an alternate history where Batman shows up for like a couple years of this and then goes away forever, which is insane to think about. And is just like a footnote in the history of comics rather than arguably the history of comics. But yeah, this was written by Tim Kaine, not Hillary Clinton's 2016 running mate.
He's so talented. Why did he win?
We can't talk about that.
I should know that. I didn't know that Hillary Clinton ran with anyone. That's interesting. Anyway, aside, go ahead.
Canadian elections work differently. We have like running. They
Yeah.
announced
No,
running mate.
like I know people have running mates and vice presidents. I don't know. It was just like Tim Kaine. Who the hell's that?
Well, I mean, you and most of America.
Hey, people have been talking about him lately.
Anyway, Bob Kane.
Thank you, Alex. I don't know why it took me so long to arrive at Bob Kane. That is, Jesus Christ, my brain is in another place. But Bob Kane and Bill Finger, are the creative team. Bill Finger especially is just I love seeing that like at the beginning of the credits for every DC film. They are the creators behind Batman. It's a very simple plot. It's just Bruce Wayne goes on a ride along with his boy Commissioner Gordon, learns about a murder, solves the murder in about 4 panels, and then pushes somebody into a vat of acid. Pushes the perpetrator, I should say, into a vat of acid, which is that is a trend throughout Batman history. Is that he loves pushing people into vats of acid.
Honestly, it's cool. He's just like this chill billionaire who's like, he's friends with the commissioner. The commissioner's like, there was a murder, and he's like, I'll come along. I got nothing better to do.
Yeah, he's like, you want to come, random socialite?
Yeah, look at that, Bruce Wayne.
Yo, you want to hang out? You want to hang out, man? It's like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I got this murder. You want to come along? It won't take too long. Like,
I also just love that, and I don't know how much we're getting into this if that's enough setup, but I also just love that he just like straight up murks the dude at the end, pushes him into the vat of acid, and I can't remember if it's Commissioner Gordon or one of the other police officers who just goes, "You pushed him in a vat of acid," with like really shocked, and he's like, "It's what scum like him deserve." And I'm like,
yeah,
damn, Garth Ennis, is that you in there?
It's funny because like just like the amount that he talks, like when he's fighting and when he's doing stuff, he doesn't talk, which is different than some of the Batman stories we'll get to. He's like, I'm gonna beat the guy up, and then I'm gonna be like, this is why you're gonna lose, this is why you just lost, kind of thing, which was kind of nice that he just like shows up, throws guys off the roof. Like 2 guys just got thrown off roofs that, like, they're probably dead, if not necks broken or whatever. Push the guy into acid, and then it's like, yeah, you're gone, see ya.
Yeah,
I like it. I like the no nonsense Batman at the beginning. He's just like, it seems like he's just doing it for fun. He's this billionaire. Like at this point in the comics, you don't know his past. You don't know why he's doing it. He's just like a billionaire who looks bored, and he gets his thrills by throwing people off the roof and into acid. And it's like, sick. Cool.
The original Batman design is interesting.
It's I love this Batman costume, but continue.
I think that the ears on the side of the head are not really the look.
Really?
Not for me. Thanks.
I just love the more like rounded cowl. Because like the current cowl is much more like it has much more straight edges because of the pointy ears in most current Batman stuff. But I love like the rounded look on it. It makes him look more like a almost like a luchador or some other kind of like wrestler, which I think is
that was inspiration there.
There's like a there's like a stagecraft aspect to it that is like obviously a part of has become a part of the Batman mythos.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like in terms of like inspirations and stuff is already sort of in there, but obviously they don't have enough. They're not like exploring that in this. But it's really funny how much of a like quintessential Batman comic this is, like condensed into so few pages. Like, God, not to talk too much about the business of comics and how comics are sold, but like this would be this story would now be like a 6-issue arc of Batman doing the detective work and figuring out the murder. The second murder probably wouldn't even the first murder probably wouldn't even happen until the end of the first issue of the arc. And it's just like it was such a different time for comics. Like comics just don't exist in this way. Like I think in Europe they still kind of do because they still exist in the magazine format, or at least like within the last 10 years have still existed in the magazine format. But in America and Canada specifically, it's all about the bookstore market and the trade market. So everything is written for a trade. Whereas like this is just written for to be. It's just written to be part of an anthology. It's like a very short, quick hit of a story.
Yeah,
but
it's
like
nice. It's like it works well. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
this is the character. It's engaging.
Yeah, I don't think it's pretty far from perfect, but as a blueprint for like the Batman character and like Batman stories that would follow, like structurally, like it's kind of all there, right? Like, and
Batman does some detectiving. He gets the bad guy,
Yeah, and this is before he was like, I don't murder people. This was when he was like, come on, I can do what I want, dressing up as a bat.
But nothing had been codified yet.
Yeah, and it's
just like cool. A beautiful like continuity era, right? Like,
I love that way of referring to it because it is absolutely just pre the concept of needing to have continuity in the way that we have it now.
Yeah, it's like just you just sort of do whatever. It's a it's a compelling model for storytelling, even though I don't know if it's necessarily sustainable for. I don't know if Batman is the the pop culture phenomenon that he is today without like a sustained canon and over the last 80 years, but it is like a much more compelling way to, or in some ways it is a more compelling
and like a small sample size, but I read the full Detective Comics 27, or at least skimmed it, and maybe it's because I know Batman as a character, but the other stories in there just weren't like it compared to the other ones. It's like so special, and it's like you think at the time it's like 1939, and you're looking through it through a modern lens, and you're like, oh, it's an okay Batman story, but it's like back then, and like being able to do this, it's like such a cool character. And I don't know, the thought of just like, hey, let's dress this guy up as a bat and create like a cultural phenomenon through that, like let's do it, is pretty wild.
I mean, it's not like the concept of like masked vigilantes was like fully new. Like the Spirit existed, and like Rocketeer I think existed by this point, but like it does definitely stand out in a way relative to everything else in this issue, which is all very much like straight like pulp crime fiction, right? Whereas the Batman story is the one that like feels like it has. I mean, there is like Alex said, there is just something to like, oh, the main character dresses up like a bat. That's weird. He has like, it's so much of what superheroes are is in like the visual designs of them, and how like that the visual designs alone are like carry so many characters to a degree of prominence. And like, I mean, it's much more interesting just on like the most like surface base level. It's way more interesting to see a crime get solved by a dude with a cool mask and a big cape than it is some fucking stuffy 40-year-old loser in a suit.
Yeah, and it's cool that we don't know why he dressed up as a bat, right? Like, there's in this issue, it's just like the reveal is that he's a billionaire, and you're like, why or millionaire, I guess.
I love how coy the ending is. It's very charming.
Oh, where did Bruce Wayne go? What? Batman?
The man who stepped out was the Batman.
But Commissioner Gordon doesn't know.
That something similar happens in one of the other issues that we're going to talk about too. But that's like such an old comics thing too. Of like, I mean, it's like the Superman Clark Kent walking into a phone booth and changing into Superman, and like,
it's charming, right? It's like it's got that ageless thing. And just the opening I want to read. This is like, at the beginning of the comic, but it's like the Batman, a mysterious and adventurous figure fighting for righteousness and apprehending the wrongdoer. In his lone battle against the evil forces of society.
I'm sorry, Alex, can you do this in your little old-timey radio voice?
The Batman, a mysterious and adventurous figure fighting for righteousness and apprehending the wrongdoer. In his lone battle against the evil forces of society. His identity remains unknown.
Thank you so much.
Until the end of the first issue, when his identity is known. So, to the reader at least. So, this was the first Batman comic, but I'll start with Emily. What was the first Batman comic that you remember reading?
The first Batman comic that I have distinct memory of reading was probably Hush.
We have the same one.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
I was in a Books A Million, and I had been getting into comic books in my junior and senior year of high school, and I hadn't read any Batman yet. Like, I feel like I had read a little bit of Batman stuff when I was like a little kid, but it was only like random issues that I found. Like, it wasn't like actually like sitting down and reading Batman. And I like made friends with this guy that was also at Books a Million, and he suggested Hush because I guess that was like the hotness at that time. So I read it and I was like, whoa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Jean-Luc, you were also indoctrinated into the cult of Hush early on.
Jeff Loeb got me early.
Jeez.
It is kind of wild that I read like the worst Jeff Loeb Batman comic, and it just like instantly sold me. I'm like, I have to get into comics now.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what like, got you into comics?
I mean, it was part of it. It was just the confluence of like, I watched like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, and then one of my friends who was a couple years older than me, we were talking about it, and he gave me his copy of Hush. And I was reading like Star Wars comics and stuff before that, but that was like what got me into superhero comics. Yeah.
Wow.
But that was like the first big superhero comic I remember reading, aside from, similarly to you, just like random issues that I had stumbled upon as a kid in grocery stores or whatever.
My actual real intro to comics was Ultimate X-Men.
Let's go.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know who wrote that?
No.
Brian K. Vaughan.
Oh wow, that makes sense.
Yep.
Real heads remember our episode about the Pride of Baghdad. So.
Man, we should read some Ultimate X-Men.
We should read Ultimate X-Men.
What about you, Alex? How did you get it?
Oh no.
Oh.
It's Mark Millar. No, Brian K. Vaughan. I knew I was right about that. I knew I was right. That
I was about to say, the difference between Brian K. Vaughan and Mark Millar is very stark.
I look because I just looked it up to make sure I was right, and it was like Mark Millar was on there, but I was like, he must have written it later. But yes, BKV did write a big chunk of Ultimate X-Men.
But what about you, Alex? What was your first Batman?
I think it might have been Detective Comics 27. No. It wasn't until I read Hush for the first time 2 years ago, and it was hyped up in my head for so long. And I read it, and I'm like,
that's so funny.
I was kind of nervous. I was like, guys, this book isn't very good. And they're like, yeah, it's terrible. I'm like, what? But Hush, I think, is like, for a kid, there's so many characters in it, so much stuff going on.
That's what it was.
I think it's a good intro.
Yeah, when I was 13, that was like the cool thing about it was that, like, oh, all the villains are here, and Catwoman looks real hot.
Yeah.
Jim Lee drew a real sexy Catwoman in that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So.
But I read Batman because I had the old Batman Chronicle books, and it would collect like the different early volumes of Batman. So I think I picked that up, and I was like, I really liked it. And then I think the next thing was the Dark Knight movie, and after that, I was like, oh my god! I remember that movie. Like, I was in the movie theater, and I was like scared because it was like I think it was like a PG-13 movie or something, or 14, and I was like 10 or 11. I'm like, Dad, are they gonna let me in? It's like, and then they let me in, and it was it was a good movie. It was enjoyable.
There's that scene with the Joker in the ice locker with the bodies behind him did scare me. Like the one where it's like the shaky cam video that he takes of himself and sends to the news media.
No,
that did scare me when I was.
A lot of things in that movie scared me.
Like, I saw that movie so many times in theaters.
I've never seen it in theaters.
Really?
I saw The Dark Knight. Like, I had to have seen it like 5 times.
Wow.
Damn. You know what you haven't seen 5 times is some Silver Age Batman. Probably, I don't know. Maybe you have. But I wanted to do. Originally, I was just going to do Detective Comics 27, but there was only one Batman story, so I was like, okay, I'll do like a Silver Age one too. And I tried to scour for a weird one, and I saw the cover with the pencil eraser head guy. Yeah, that's a Batman 188. Emily, why don't you tell us about the eraser who tried to rub out Batman?
I have been wondering what your rationale was for picking this story for the entire day, Alex.
It's just really horny. It's like surprisingly, really strangely horny. It's like weird.
So weird. It is about Batman and Robin go up against this guy called the Eraser, who offers criminals a special service in which he erases all evidence from a crime scene so that crooks can get off scot-free. Batman does like he concocts a little plan where he pretends to be a common criminal who needs the eraser's services, but the eraser recognizes him from the smell of his aftershave, so he knows it's Bruce Wayne. He doesn't know it's Batman, but he does know it's Bruce Wayne. And then, like, they manage to the reason that he is like the reason he decided to turn to a life of crime is because Bruce Wayne dated like the girl that he, or not dated, but like
went on a date.
He was the Ice King to her Ice Queen.
Date with a girl that he liked. So after that, he turned to a life of crime. And God, this book was just so weird. It's full of just Robin being upset that he can't pull bitches like Batman does, and
he gets one. He gets a pity. He gets a pity, like.
Well,
yeah.
Robin. I said bitches plural.
Oh, true. Yep. Sorry. Yep.
But yeah, this is a weird book, but I had a lot of fun reading it. So,
you know, the wild thing about this is, as I put in the chat, I'd never read a comic about this character before, but I owned the Lego minifigure version of it.
What set did this come in that you had it?
So it's in the blind bags that they did a series of blind bags of minifigures for the Lego Batman movie, which, because the Lego Batman movie has so many like cameos of characters in it, they did a ton of obscure like Batman villains, like the Condiment King, Calendar Man, Kite Man. I don't actually know if they did one for Kite Man, now that I say that. But a bunch of like really obscure Batman villains got minifigures, and the Eraser is one of them. And it's a very loyal to the original source material figure too.
Yeah.
Does he have very pointy shoes?
Well, there's a little bit. There's a print on the feet that is supposed to represent it, but you wouldn't like fully notice it. But if you look at the bottom of the print on the bottom of the figure, it's like the tip of a pen. It is supposed to look like the tip of a pencil.
I love the scene where he's like in his eraser thing, and his like ability is to like use he takes off his helmet and like just starts erasing the crime thing. It's just like I
love that it's not even a superpower, like, because the whole time you think it's gonna, because if it was a contemporary Batman comic, it would be a guy who shot like a ray that erased shit or whatever. Yeah. But it's just like he just takes off the helmet and it's just a big ass eraser that erases the crime scene. It's really goofy.
I also love that, like, in the flashback where you learn that like Bruce was the Ice King at this dance, and the Ice Queen was the girl that Lenny loved or whatever. Like, Bruce is like thinking about like, oh, that kid's crying and his tears are freezing, and he just keeps going at his like horse and like gold. He's like such a dick. He's just like, haha.
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he is a dick in this comic. It's really funny.
I mean, that's this era of Batman, though, right? Like, that's how Bruce was written at this time, right? Like, he's
yeah.
And I mean, to an extent, sort of that has continued, but that's like such a thing of the era, is that Bruce Wayne was an assoul.
Yeah. Well, the difference is like in like old Batman, it's Bruce Wayne is a dick, affectionate, and in new Batman, it's Bruce Wayne is a dick, derogatory.
Yeah, that's actually
but it's all a mask, both ways. So it's all good. Yeah, it was very Silver Age. The other one I was thinking about doing was the one where Alfred writes fan fiction about Batman like having a happy life, but I couldn't find it. Like I don't know.
This one also pairs nicely with one of the ones we're going to talk about later on. Specifically because of how much page space is just devoted to Dick Grayson being like, damn, Batman's a baller and I suck.
It's wonderful. It's a very enjoyable Silver Age.
It's also like it's very Silver Age in the sense that like the villain's whole motivation is like this obscure event that nobody else remembers from 40 years ago. Like it's like okay. It's actually kind of like Hush in that sense. It's like Tommy Elliott's like motivation is like, I mean, it's actually more stupid than the motivation here, but it's like not there's like the degrees between them are not that
Don't
vast.
talk shit about our good friend Lenny Fiasco. Like
Lenny
That's a banger
Fiasco,
name.
what a name!
It's
Yeah.
no Alexandre Leroy, but it's
No,
well, no
it's-
one can be Alexandre.
that's certainly true.
And then there's like a scene where like Alfred's like holding up he's got like asbestos gloves and he's like, the phone line's been ringing so much I had to put on these asbestos gloves.
Yeah,
And it's like, what?
I took a screen cap of that and posted it in the group chat because it made me laugh so fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And then-
fun to read these. Yeah.
No,
But
go
like imagine like living in this era and every comic is like balls to the wall like this, you know? Just like
Yeah, and all of them have the same like moralizing bit at the end about how crime is bad because the Comics Code Authority made them do that.
so, you know, Bruce Wayne, like, he knows that like Lenny loved this girl and that like, you know, it wasn't really like he went on one date and Bruce was like, oh, she's nothing to me. And it's like, you're a dick. And then he ends off with like a line that's like, it's better to be a rubber than a robber. And it's like, what does that even mean? What?
It's better to be a rubber if you,
Yeah,
if you know what I'm saying.
I don't know, but I gotta say, last thing I'll say about this book was when, you know, like, Emily mentioned it, but Lenny's like, that aftershave, Bruce Wayne. It's like, and the fact that Bruce Wayne's been wearing the same aftershave since he was in like university, it's like,
But
Yeah.
it's such an obvious twist that that's what's going to happen because they have like the big setup earlier on where Robin is like, oh well, no wonder Bruce pulls all the ladies. He smells so good with that aftershave.
that Axe body spray.
And then he says like, this is what I've worn this ever since college. And immediately on the spot, I'm like, oh, that's how he's getting found. That's how he's getting found out by the Eraser because the Eraser knew him in college.
I actually didn't
Alright.
see that coming because all of the Robin stuff had just been so weird and like non sequitur up until this point that I just like didn't even think anything of it. And then it happened. I was like, oh, that's why they brought this up. But I just was like, sure, Robin's talking about his aftershave, whatever.
They used to be so
Robin.
mean to Dick Grayson.
Oh my gosh,
Dick
yeah,
Grayson was a
Dick.
fucking punching bag for years.
yeah. But don't worry, he'll get his chance later on.
He
He'll
got
get
the
his
last laugh.
moment.
He's a
So,
billionaire now.
you know, above, you know, on that thing with weird Batman villain personas, Jean-Luc, if you could, you know, you could have a Batman villain persona today, tomorrow, what would it be?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Not a power, but a
No, like what? Like, would you be the Eraserhead or be like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be the Eraserhead because
What childhood trauma did you have that you would then like, you know, bring onto someone? Although that's not the trauma. It could be like you played too much Magic. I don't know.
well,
Ooh.
you can't be mean to me like that, Alex. I don't know. I don't have anything like that comes to me off the top of my head of like what like a good Batman, like a Silver Age Batman gimmick would be. Because I feel like, you know, you're supposed to just like look around. Okay, I'm Fan Man.
Man.
It's that I have like I can fly like Kite Man, but instead of kites, there's like a box fan on each of my arms, and it's sort of like a helicopter type situation where it lifts me up.
Mhm.
But like I can't, I can only go up like on my side because that's how the fans propel me.
Right.
And I have like 3 of my fingers are like half fingers, and I'm Fan Man because I stuck my fingers into the fans by accident as a kid, and it chopped off. Or Bruce Wayne as a kid, he was my bully in middle school, and he put my fingers in the fan to cut them off, and so that's why I've adopted a life of crime.
Wow.
And I'm gonna kill Bruce Wayne and at the end of the comic, I have I have Batman and Robin tied up, and they're just like suspended in the air, tied up, and there's a big fan going at the bottom of a pit, and I'm slowly lowering them into it. And then inevitably, like he throws a batarang or something and stops me. But
Sorry, Jean-Luc, but I'm not a fan of crime. And then
there it is. That's the obligatory, the Comics Code Authority enforced. You have to explicitly state crime is bad in every issue.
wow. You know what? That was a good on the spot one, Jean-Luc. Emily, you got You got a evil villain persona, all the 60s?
Do. I would be the debate.
The podcaster.
No, I would be. I'm basing this off of like childhood. Well, this not my childhood trauma, but I'm basing this off of a fictitious childhood trauma that would be believable for me. I would be the debater, and my secret origin story as a villain would be that I lost a debate competition to Bruce Wayne when I was in high school, and that led me down a life of crime. And my issue of Silver Age Batman would be about how I took Bruce Wayne hostage and tied him up and held up some sort of debate conference or something. Like I held it up, like I threatened to kill everybody. So I put Bruce Wayne behind one podium and myself behind another, and I forced him to debate me and try to lose.
But then he beat you in the debate, and you're like,
he like makes like a really good point that like totally
facts don't care about your feelings,
and I'm so distracted that he's able to like get away and make a quick change and come out as Batman to defeat me.
Damn.
Because I fucking argued with everybody when I was a kid.
Damn,
That's all I did.
That reminds me of my life.
Damn, we got a team up going on between the fan man and the debater. Watch out, Batman. Yeah, that's good.
What about you, Alex?
You guys could have written for Batman in the 60s. Honestly, you could write for them now. It sounds like an insult. It sounds like an insult. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. I don't know. I think
I'm no Tom King.
No, but no one is. Not even Tom King anymore. So it is the way it is. I think I would be the Batman. I'd be the Bat-man, right?
Yeah.
And I'd just be like such a big fan of it's kind of like a Batmite scenario where you're such a big fan of Batman that you like cause him like harm and stuff. And my thing would be like, oh my, but it'd be like I'd be such a fan of billionaire.
Creepy Batman shrine in your
Yeah. And I like go try to fight crime, but like I would like someone across the street and I'd like, beat them up, and I'd be like, no jaywalking.
You can be like Hollywood the Cracked, but for Batman.
Yeah. That's
all right, I know the Coheed episode was the last one, but
well, we didn't even bring up any of that.
I mean, that is the plot of that song.
No.
I guess we're recording again.
That just wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd be such a big fan of Batman, but I'd be like, doing harm, not on purpose or anything, but I'd be doing it, and then Batman would be like, he'd punch me in the face eventually, and he'd be like, "Be your own person," and then he'd lock me away.
You're kind of like the inverse Tim Drake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't steal his tires. I would add more tires.
That's Jason Todd, not Tim Drake. Jason Todd steals his tires. Tim Drake.
I feel like
Tim Drake is the one who was
the assassin, right?
Huh?
Tim Drake's dad's the assassin? Or is it a criminal?
I can't tell if you're fucking with me or... But yes, I think you're thinking of Stephanie Brown's dad.
Tim Drake's the one whose parents die in the circus.
John, I feel like you stepped all over Alex's really good joke that he said.
What was my joke?
I don't remember now, but I was.
I thought he was being. I know too much about Batman stuff.
Yeah, at the beginning, it didn't last long. The whole like, I'm not a bat. Yeah. He's, you've done your time and you've come out the other side, but you still have that period.
The thing is, I will still defend Tim Drake's honor. And I won't have him be compared to Jason fucking Todd on this show.
Oh, I remember what Alex's joke was. He said that instead of stealing Batman's tires, he was going to put more tires on there.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that was really good.
And then causes Batman's the balance to be off of the Batmobile. And then he dies, Silver Age. But then he wakes up and it's all a dream. He's like, what? Oh my God. I'm alive.
He just
and then
has
it's
a fever nightmare.
And it's and then it's Christmas morning. And then he takes Dick from the basement where he sleeps and he's like, you get food today. And it's like, yeah, thanks, Bruce. It's wholesome. It's wholesome. But you know what's not wholesome, guys? The gosh darn Jonker, who really you know, Batman 251, which is widely considered to be like one of the best Batman comics ever made by a lot of people. Like, as I was doing research for this one, it was like, this is quintessential Joker. And, you know, to give it credit, this is where the Joker went from like, sort of, like, because when he was introduced, he was like a murderer guy who made people like smile, and he was like, and then the Silver Age, he kind of became just like, I'm going to throw pie at the mayor. So this sort of brought him back. And in many ways, this is the Joker that we've had for the last like 40 years. In a sort of way.
And it's amazing how every single trait of the Joker was taken from like one line of dialogue.
Yeah. But a quick summary. So Joker commits some murders, and he's very rude. He's silly. He's zany. He wants to beat Batman, and he has a chance where he captures him, but he's like, not now, because I want to do it in a better way. And it's like, you know, reading it today, I'm like, well, it's pretty standard like Joker story, which I guess is the point of why it's like was so influential and stuff. But Mark Reinhardt, in his Batman filmography book, wrote, O'Neill and Neil Adams returned the Joker from the silly prankster of 1950s and 60s comics to the leering, homicidal madman found in Bob Kane and Bill Finger's original work. Did you guys find this Joker interesting? Did you guys find this comic lives up to the greatest Batman comic of all time, or at least greatest Joker comic of all time?
I'm kind of glad that I didn't know that this was supposed to be like the greatest comic. Not because I thought like I liked it a lot. I just like I'm glad I didn't have that hype, I guess.
Yeah.
See, even if I'd had that hype, I would have known it wasn't true, because The Killing Joke is, you know, the best Batman comic.
The Killing Joke wasn't alive yet, Jean-Luc. We don't know about The Killing Joke. We're stuck in a year.
Yeah. Good comics hadn't been written yet, because Alan Moore hadn't started writing comics at this point.
He was alive. You might have done.
I think he actually probably did, right? Like, this isn't that.
This is early 70s. So
okay,
probably a bit before Alan.
This is probably even before his 2000 AD stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I actually do really like this issue. I have read this issue before. Mm-hmm. I would not have known that. Based on like just seeing the number, but as soon as I started reading it, I was like, oh yeah, no, I know this issue. And I love that it's weird that it is like considered to be like, this is like the serious turn for the Joker, because I think Killing Joke is the actual serious turn for the Joker, because this book is also very funny. Like the whole bit, like the recurring bit of like, because the conceit is that Joker is like killing off his henchmen who betrayed him, right? And the whole like recurring bit of like Batman's like trying to save them and they don't trust him, and so at the beginning he's just like goes to one of them in a box, like who's at his like training in a boxing ring or whatever, and he's just like he's holding up the boxing bag. I don't know what that is actually called, and
boxing bag.
The henchman like swipes and is like clearly trying to hit Batman, and the whole time Batman's like, oh, you just missed it. What's up, man? It's like,
are you
come
okay?
on, like that's funny. And the Joker's like, the Joker is still like yeah, like he is definitely
he's a wacky dude.
Yeah, he's definitely like more like of a homicidal kind of like killer.
He's more of a homosexual killer in this issue.
It's true, but he is like still like he doesn't kill, like when he kills people, it's like as a joke. Like he has to always do it as a joke, right? Like it's not, except for the one guy that he hangs off screen. That
was a bit like
that was a little.
Well, but I mean, the like probably the only reason that you don't see like the whole thing. You only see the cutoff like at the knee, not even at the knees. It's because of the CCA, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I bet the CCA would have lost their shit if there was like a shot of somebody like who had been hung. But
and there's like a lot of text in this one. It was kind of the time, but I thought it flowed pretty well. And like Neil Adams' art, No, go ahead. Denny O'Neil written. Sorry, we should have said at the beginning, but Denny O'Neil written Neil Adams' art, and it's like his Joker is it's really wonderfully like it's got like a classic look to it, but it's just like also a bit like grimy, which is really cool.
It is the iconic Joker look, right? Like that is if nothing else, I think that's what comes out of this is like that is like. I mean, obviously, it depends on what your perspective is, but generally speaking, like when I think of like the Joker, it is that Joker, that take on the Joker, right? At least from a visual perspective, like the slanty head, the purple suit, the hat, all the whole deal, right? Like, and I mean, it's like the whole like I guess I don't know fully if this is like the first time that this had popped up, but the whole like the Joker refusing to kill Batman because it's like, oh, it wasn't fair this time. I didn't actually like own you hard enough. That is like such a recurring theme, and like that's every Joker story now, right? It's like every Joker story is like, how do I own Batman so bad, and actually we can end this.
That's kind of what the entire Lego Batman movie is,
right?
Yeah. And I just love though, like the title of this story is The Joker's Five-Way Revenge. It's like they separate Five-Way and Revenge.
I know.
Where it's just like it's chef's kiss. And when Jean-Luc sent it to the group, I was like, yeah.
Jean-Luc made a tweet.
Well, sometimes the Joker has a 5-way. I mean,
and
get it?
Yeah,
that's very good.
Yeah, like my man's got bitches. He's the opposite of Tim Drake or Dick Grayson. It's like, can you imagine? Like Dick Grayson's just like the Joker and Batman are fighting, and they're all like the whole time they're fighting, there's just women swooning over them, and Dick Grayson the whole time is just like, why not me?
Hey, that's only in the Silver Age. He changes. He becomes a Teen Titan. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else about that here comic book? Very influential. Very cool.
Yeah.
I immediately recognized Neil Adams' art, which I thought was fun.
Yeah. I mean, Neil Adams is such an iconic. Like we've got in the pipeline some more Neil Adams stuff, I think, in the next few months. But I'm always excited to read a Neil Adams comic, right? Like that dude is just such a master of superhero
died this
comics.
Year. He died in April. Yeah, I didn't know about. I mean, Batman, comic related. But also, Tim Sale died like a few weeks ago too, which was
also someone else who we'll probably get to, I think, in the next few episodes.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, me and Jean-Luc met Neil. No, not Neil. We met Tim Sale. Back at New York Comic Con when we actually met in person. That was cool.
Yeah, we met him. I have a sketch from him in my little notebook. We both felt super bad for him because there was some guy there with probably 500 copies of Captain America White #1 and was getting each and every single one of them signed.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And Alex and I were standing in line with like probably 10 other people or so, like a few in front of us and a few behind us. And I mean, Neil Adams was just like chugging through them. Like, I don't know if it was like a prearranged type thing, but we were just watching that and like, God damn,
like the Sale thing. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. I'm just saying that Tim Sale wasted 10 minutes of his life on that, like, thing. But
but also a hell of an artist.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was actually gonna include one that was a Tim Sale drawn one, very good. It was about the villains of Gotham playing like a baseball game.
Oh yeah, that is a banger issue.
Yeah. But I was like, well, that's not Batman, that's his villains. And I'm like, well, his villains are a big part. We can read that another time though. It's a good comic. Really good. The last one, the fifth, member of our 5-way extravaganza, is
we are at 5. Jesus Christ, that was fast.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
No, 4.
No.
I count. We've done 3. I'm not going insane, am I?
Okay, then my number was wrong all along. The 4th entry in our 5-way extravaganza.
I thought I was losing it. For a second, I was like, I thought I was losing it. But no, we've only talked about 3 comics so far.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, is good old 2009, Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison, and art by none other than his good friend,
their good friend,
Frank Whiteley.
Their good friend, yeah.
We got there. But this was this is a new dynamic duo hitting the streets. Batman, Bruce Wayne is dead, and that leaves Dick Grayson taking. Well, he's dead for a few weeks.
He's never dead.
No, he gets shot back in time by the bull. Never mind. We should have read that comic, Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne, because that's Morrison at his finest. Yeah, but anyway, he gets like shot back in time, and it's like different eras that he has to like fight through to get back.
Oh, I think you guys told me about that once.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, I think.
It's a hell of a comic.
But this one, Dick Grayson, he's now Batman. He won the Battle of the Cowl, I think, something like that.
That was the 3 or 4 issue mini event crossover.
And his Robin is Bruce's assassin son with an attitude, Damian Wayne. What are they going to get up to? But it's, it's the first adventure. You're hitting the streets, and this issue is really about seeing their dynamic. Alfred's in there, and you're seeing the new villains that are sort of cropping up. And there's two ones that stand out for me in it, and that's Mr. Toad and Professor Pig, which are just like, I think, fantastic villains. And like there's like a campy, like really scariness to them, especially Professor Pig, who's like,
Professor Pig is terrifying.
Super.
Not just in this issue, but like in this whole first arc of Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Like he is it is a really like scary take on that character.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's his first appearance too. I think Grant Morrison created it for this. Like this was his first one. Also, Mr. Toad, which Emily, you messaged in Discord.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, so first, before I talk about Mr. Toad, I mentioned this in our group chat, but I, like, seeing the cover of this book, like, was immediately, like, I remember seeing this all over my local comic book shop when I was in high school. I didn't read it, but I remember it being, like, a huge deal that this came out. I, like, remember people like arguing about whether or not they liked Damian as Robin. Like, it brought back a lot of memories, and I'm glad that I actually read it because, I mean, like, Grant Morrison rules in general, but like this book was also very good. And I did kind of freak out when Mr. Toad showed up because it isn't, but it is Mr. Toad from the classic literature Wind in the Willows. And that was very weird and funny, but Mr. Pig is terrifying. That guy's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a guy wearing a pig mask, and it's like
he does a lot of weird like surgeries on people while they're alive.
I can tell.
That's like his whole bit.
Yeah, very gross.
No, honestly, there's no room in my heart for anyone who is a Damian Wayne hater.
Same.
I know that. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember, but like, was this like? I guess we had Damian before, because I remember him being like, when Damian was created.
Damian was created before this in Morrison's run on Batman.
And that was, I think, that was the era mostly that I remember that people were like not a fan, because I wasn't that big of a fan because he was like literally like he almost killed Tim Drake. I think happened in like the Batcave and was like a real dick.
Yes.
This one seems like the Damian Wayne I know and love. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
This is
real Richard.
Fake head. Yeah,
and I guess this is all stuff that I like sort of have known secondhand, but my understanding is that this series is sort of like where people started to turn around on Damian.
Yeah,
he's very likable,
which is kind of look, man, I like Damian from the jump. That's like Damian haters were just mad that there's a kid who's like, I don't know, kind of an asshole. I
was angry Batman had sex, but continue.
I mean, I'm never getting over Master Chief having sex, so it's but yeah, no, I mean, Damian is fucking great, and Damian is definitely a little bit more tolerable here, and there's like a way that Morrison writes Damian, and not so much a little bit in this issue, but more as this unfolds, is like Damian has a little bit more interiority and vulnerability around Dick than he does around Bruce, because this is very much, both Damian and Dick have like the same character arc throughout this series, and you sort of see hints at it here. And it goes back to, the Dick Grayson that we saw earlier of like the whole character arc is like them. They're both people who care a lot about what Bruce Wayne thinks. And the thing that is most important to them is getting Bruce Wayne's approval. And so there's for Dick, it's like now he has to live up to Bruce, but for Damian, it's kind of the opposite, where now he doesn't have to live up to Bruce. So he can be a lot more, laid back. And I just love like how Morrison, and I mean, this is like classic like Dick Grayson too, but Morrison really hits a nail on the head where they write Dick and Damien as being like they're not as serious. They're joking with they have like a jokey rapport, and even the rest of the comic, which also is like very much like Morrison's Batman run. Like there's like the running gag about like, wow, who knew that they would ever have a flying Batmobile, and like there's like making jokes about it. There's like they fly now, but it's a good version of
it. Is, yeah.
There's that scene where like the cop comes out of the interrogation room and tells Commissioner Gordon they doesn't want to be in there anymore because Toad is sweating and starting to smell. Like it's just like
it's fun. It's like there's very dark moments, but like it's fun, and it's like for me it's quintessential Batman that Morrison does so well, where it's like he's a silly character, it's a silly world, it can be serious, but it's also you gotta have fun with it. So.
Well, and that's the great thing is that like what Morrison does so well here, and what a couple other writers have done before and since, but they take the like sort of some of the lightheartedness of the Silver Age, but because we got rid of the Comics Code Authority, they can actually tell more serious stories about with actual like capital T themes and darker content, and so they don't lose sight of like what is at the sort of the core of Batman, but they like layer on that sort of like additional layer of darkness, and like they can do stories where criminals are like some of the criminals are violent and fucked up in the way that Professor Pig is fucked up, and it's good stuff. Yeah. This is not my favorite Frank Quitely work. You can tell that like a lot of this is that they wanted Frank Quitely to hit the monthly release schedule, which is traditionally not. Frank Quitely does not like doing monthly books. Like there are, and Morrison and Quitely have done a lot of projects together. This is not my favorite Frank Quitely, but his Professor Pig is great. And but some of the faces are a little.
Yeah, the iconic scene for me is when Damien's like diving, and that's one that I've seen. I don't know, everywhere, just like in the sky, and he's just like he's got his like serious face, but he's just a little kid, and he's like wearing his tights and stuff, and
yeah.
It's a good book, and yeah, like I guess like the Damien Dick dynamic, even in this one, doesn't go deep, but like even now, like their back and forth is so like it just works so well. It's like part disrespect, part like respect, but they're like it's the brothers relationship as opposed to like a weird father-son one,
which is so great when Batman writers are able to do that with the supporting cast of Batman characters, is like give them like that's a lot of like obviously we haven't talked about it on this podcast, but like I think all of us really like that about Tom Taylor's Nightwing is like honestly more than anything else about that book, I like the scenes where it's like, oh, they have a group chat that Bruce is not in, but all the like Robins and Batgirls and all the sidekicks are in there, and they're like all There's a great scene actually in the newest issue of Nightwing where they are like having pizza together. Or no, it's in the new issue of it's in the newest issue of Robin, Son of Batman, not Nightwing. When Robin, they all make fun of Robin because he got a vegan and gluten-free pizza.
Oh, Robin.
Which that back house scene, the one where Damien says I'm a vegan now, is from this series, right?
I think it's incorporated.
It's not. Oh, it is. You're right. It is. It's incorporated.
Same run, really, though.
But it's all the same thing. Yeah, it's all Morrison's Batman.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one does it like Grant Morrison.
It's good stuff. I forgot to put this in the doc, but the last book that we're talking about, the fifth part of the five-way.
Not the last, because we have also the 2020 issue. There's 2022 issue.
Yeah. My math. Okay, yeah. Anyways, Batman number 37 from Rebirth, a Tom King issue. I will say we talked about Tom King earlier in a bit of maybe a joking manner. And it kind of ties in with what Jean-Luc was saying, but this is the issue where it's a double date, Bruce, Selina, Lois Lane, Clark Kent, and they just go to the fair, and it's a day at the fair, and it's them like playing baseball, and like there's a lot of like one-liners back and forth, and this is one where like one of my favorite issues of like Batman and superheroes in general, where like they don't always have to be fighting and being like super serious, they can be people too, and it's enjoyable when they're like that.
This is probably the issue I had the most mixed feelings on.
Ooh.
I remember loving this issue, and reading it now, I was like,
I forgot to
He
reread.
was always a hack, huh?
I forgot to reread this one for this one. That's why I didn't put it in the thing. So I'm remembering when we read it, back in 2018 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot that I liked about this issue, and then there was a lot that I didn't really
Tom
care
King
for.
can't write women to save his life.
Yeah.
Selena's kissing this random man.
Well, that part I didn't. That was whatever. That part I didn't mind so much. It's more the all of the dialogue between Selena and Lois in this issue is they're talking about their husbands or fiance and Selena's.
They sound like they're gonna run off away together.
I know, it's so. But there's so much all the 80% of their dialogue is Selena will go, or Lois will go, well, why Batman? And Selena will go, well, he's just so that. And then Lois will go, oh, and yeah, Clark is just so Superman. What are we doing here, Tom? There's good stuff in this issue.
This issue does not pass the Bechdel test.
Yeah, I think that is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't actually check. I just really wanted to say that.
I think you're right. I know it's a joke, but
I'm probably right because I can't remember two women having a conversation about something other than a man. So.
They're always talking about Bruce and Clark.
They technically have a conversation about the guy who's robbing something, and they're like, "Oh, it's a line. It's not really a conversation."
That's a man, so
yeah. Well, we don't know. Oh, the mask does come off.
The mask comes off. I mean, there's some great stuff in this issue. To go to that, the whole conceit of it's a carnival. They're trying to go to double date at a carnival, and they show up to the carnival, and it's oh, it's superhero dress up night. Which is probably something real, and also the most cringe thing in existence. Everybody there is just the worst person you've ever met.
I actually misunderstood at first and thought that it was only actual superheroes out tonight.
Now that is a Silver Age villain thing. We're
that would. Yeah.
I'm the Carnival Man. All the heroes are here.
I do love the Bruce and Clark switching their switching costumes with each other.
Yes, I love it. I love that. That's so
great.
much.
I mean, and there's also the whole baseball thing is really good too. The whole Superman throws the ball so fast that he's not even my son can hit it. But and the whole time Bruce is well, there's an upper limit of how fast he can throw it or it would dissolve. So I have to just calculate what that would. It's that stuff is cute, and I like that stuff a lot.
I'm gonna have to reread it. But I guess even if the execution doesn't quite hold up, I like the idea of
it fits into the theme. It definitely fits in the continuity of issues we're talking about because it is it is the closest that a modern ongoing Batman book can get to that sort of Silver Age silliness. Because when you think about it, the rest of Tom King's run is very plot heavy, very much darker. I mean, it's all how many 2-bit Batman villains can have trauma. And then that's kind of what Batman is now is it's a bunch of millennial writers, and I don't say this in a disparaging way. I probably comes off as I'm saying it in a disparaging way, but I don't mean it in a disparaging way.
That's just how you talk.
So it is just it's a lot of millennial writers and a new class of writers who are my impression of most Batman writers now is that they think that Batman is problematic, and they think that they can get away from that by making everyone have trauma. And that's what the last 10 years of Batman stories have been. But this is like the opposite of that, right? Like this is like they just go to a carnival and fucking let loose, you know? It's
and there's no repercussions after in the story either. It's like it's a 2-issue story where this is actually part 2 of it.
Yeah,
the first part's not as good as I remember, but it's like, you know, it's just like an aside in Tom King's like I think 80-issue run where it's like
this is right before the War of Jokes and Riddles, right? Like it literally, or is there the Poison Ivy arc in between? I don't remember.
The marriage is 50, so I don't know if I think Jokes and Riddles is done already.
Oh, so this is immediately after.
It might be.
Right, because Selena has that line about where he proposes to her, and he's like, and he says something about Kite Man.
Yeah.
and then proposed to me. But yes, that's because that would be War of Jokes and
If
Riddles.
Chad could see us now talking about,
so it would be the Poison Ivy arc that's next.
There was one thing that really bothered me about this issue, and it was the scene where they are eating ice cream and talking, where they reuse the same panel of each of them multiple times. It's like,
is this a Clayman book?
it was so like, it made me frustrated to look at, to see the same images over and over and over again.
Because it doesn't look like they're eating ice cream.
It was difficult even to read the dialogue because I was so distracted by the fact that they had just copy and pasted these images over and over.
Frank Whiteley should learn from this. That's how you do it. That's how you do monthly comics. That's how you make it happen.
I mean,
you draw 10 pages and just copy paste the rest.
yeah, this is a Clayman book.
Okay. Well, I have thoughts about Clayman.
Yeah?
That sounds like a Batman villain.
Clayman.
That's Clayface.
That's a knockoff Batman
but
villain.
Clayman also sounds like a Batman villain.
Yeah, no, I know.
Again, the 60s. I think Clayface was in the 60s too.
Jean-Luc.
Clayface was around in the 60s. Clayface, I think. Clayface.
My goal by next episode is to get Chad to record Shut the Fuck Up for all of us. So that,
I could make that happen for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Batman 37, and that's the end of our 5-way. But what if I told you we're adding one more person in there, one more comic?
A 6-way.
Now it's a 6-way extravaganza. Yeah. So I originally was like, okay, 5, and then I'll reveal there's a 6th. But then I didn't put Batman number 37 in there, and I didn't tell you guys, which is why we're here. But Jean-Luc had a really good idea, and that was like, why don't we read like the newest issue of Batman, because it's a new story by Chip Zdarsky and
Jorge Jimenez.
His art is so good.
God.
We did not get any Batman dick in this issue, but we did get some nice Batman bulge.
Yeah. We did get some nice Batman bulge, and
we also, if I may say,
yes,
get Batman channeling a little Alexandre Leroy with the top 2 buttons down. It's
I love. So okay, I haven't said anything about this book yet, but there's a scene where it's he's wearing his cowl, but he's just wearing a dress shirt then, and it's like such a cool looking scene. But this book is like Bruce Wayne at this point is like no longer a billionaire. He's like,
okay,
poor.
Stop everything. You guys have to explain to me why Bruce Wayne isn't a millionaire anymore.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He like
I don't care.
No, Emily,
it was some villain. I think it might have been not Joker's daughter, Punchline or something. I don't know. This was Tinian's run, and by the end of it, he's poor, right? And Alfred's dead.
But
he's dead.
But
it's not.
happened?
It's not Tinian's run that made this happen.
What made it happen?
Future State. This is a Future State relic because Future.
Anyone remember Future State, guys?
Yeah, you guys. Hey, y'all remember Future State? Y'all remember this new imprint that we're doing? Yeah, so Future State was supposed to be the new relaunch. Well, it was originally called 5G. Then they're like, we can't call it that anymore.
People think that 5G gives you like death.
So
our readers are like,
so we're gonna call it Future State now. And Future State was supposed to be like a soft relaunch of the universe, and there was going to be a new Batman who was the son of Duke. It's the one, if you guys remember, we read that really fucking cringe issue where with SJW Batman.
Oh yeah, people were spray painting, and he's like, "Don't do that."
Yeah, yes, that one.
Yes, I do remember that.
And so they needed like a plot reason for Bruce to no longer be Batman. And so that plot reason is that he's not a millionaire. Alex is right. It is the Joker that steals his fortune, which he just takes out of his bank account. But then Lucius Fox steals it back. And then he says, I'll give it back to you eventually. So Lucius Fox currently has Batman's fortune, or Bruce Wayne's fortune, and Bruce Wayne doesn't have it. But eventually he'll get it back.
Yeah.
It's really convoluted and really stupid, and I hate that they felt like they had to stick to it even after they abandoned all the Future State. Although I guess there is that Future State Batman book that everybody hates, right? That is just fucking horrible.
I don't know.
And nobody wants to touch it.
You mentioned Future State, and I was like, oh god, like it
Ramsey's Swamp Thing out of that. It was pretty good.
It's true, yeah. But this comic book, Start of Zdarsky.
Anyway, sorry,
no, it was a good
It was
a good aside. Just looking at the stupidity that sometimes happens in comics, and continuity we talked about, not always a great thing, as we obviously, yeah. But this book is about so Bruce Wayne's poor, but he's still got that rich boy ethos and stuff, where he's still invited to parties.
If I can interrupt you for a brief second,
yeah.
Why would you do this if nothing about the status quo is actually going to change? He still has all the tech. He's still Batman.
He's wearing a dress shirt. He's wearing a dress shirt, not a suit. No, not a Batman suit. It's a win. But
he wears the Batman suit in the issue. He does have the full Batman suit still.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. This is the kind of again, this is why it's great when there's a part of me that just thinks it would be great if you just could just do a bunch of stories that had no need to connect to one another, like a lot of the stuff that we read for this episode. Because you can just do whatever. You can make up a villain called the Eraser, and who never appears again until he gets a Lego minifigure in 2018. You can just do that. No one cares. But now, because
an absolute king like Alexandre Lenoir.
Exactly. But now, because Dan DiDio had a stupid idea and then got fired 6 months later, and everyone went back on it, you have to just be well, that's the
next 20 years of Batman, sorry.
That's the last 10 years of DC Comics, is Dan DiDio had a stupid idea and they had to commit to it.
The New 52 was a success for the comics industry, Jean-Luc.
That is true.
Yeah, it was. It got me into it. Got a lot of people in. But this book, right? So, he's a billionaire, but he's not a billionaire anymore. But the Penguin has sent out a video being like, hey, billionaires, if not even millionaires, if your family's inherited, or if you've inherited $5 million or more, you have 24 hours to donate it to charity, or to someone who someone who's less fortunate than you, or he's just going to murk you. And that's his message.
Penguin stand now?
It's also such a funny concept, because every millionaire worth their salt has a fake front. Everyone has they have an equivalent of the Clinton Foundation that they can just dump all their money into and then just get it back.
But I feel because the Penguin's he's been a seedy gangster for so I feel he would know that I guess there's a suspension of disbelief there. But his whole thing is basically if you're rich, you give money, or I'm going to kill you, right?
Which is funny, because as Batman points out, the Penguin was also born into wealth.
Yeah, but he wasn't accepted in wealth, which was this whole thing, because he looked like a penguin.
I think it's kind of dumb, but also, I just think it's an incredibly king move to say that everybody has to donate.
100%. And, Bruce Wayne's, childhood friend, gets, or maybe, more adulthood friend gets, killed, and Batman's, to the Penguin, he's like, but he was such a nice guy, and Penguin's dude, he came to my Iceberg Lounge. He was a shit. He was not a good guy. I don't know why you're doing that. And it was it was kind of. I
also had gotten the impression that he and Bruce had not exactly been in just constant communication. For a while, I guess.
And it's definitely a Batman, it shows a blind spot for him, where he's he looks like he's doing good, he's donating to charities, it's all good, and it's this book ends and Penguin bites into some cyanide, and then Batman tries to stop him, and then someone rushes in, and Batman's got his hands around his neck, and Batman killed the Penguin, and that's the cliffhanger ending thing.
I gotta say, Jorge Jimenez draws a hell of a Penguin, in large part because he draws him like the Batman Returns.
Daniel DeVito is there. I mean, he draws the hell out of this book.
Jorge
is so pretty. It's great.
I love Neil Adams, but Jorge Jimenez might be the best.
Oh, the art in this book is so fucking
good. It looks so good.
It has that grittiness that Neil Adams does, and it's not a darkness in a weird way, but it's the way that I don't know, the expressions and the extra details on the dress shirts and the cowl and the penguins, he's
Well, it's just things like Bruce Wayne has just enough stubble to indicate that he's not taking care of himself and shaving regularly. It's all those little details that are okay, everything's just a little bit fucked up at all times.
Yeah. And I as a first issue, I think it was a little clunky, but the overall Batman doesn't have money and now billionaires are being targeted, it was enough for me to be like, cool, and like the Penguin's dead now. So like I would, if I was reading monthly comics, which I've kind of stopped doing, I would, like, maybe I'll check out the next issue because it's like,
oh yeah, I'm gonna stick with this. I also like that Chip Zdarsky, clearly like me, in that Tim Drake is his favorite Robin, because he
got him shot in the neck. Okay, also the other part of the issue, he gets shot in the neck, and then like the doctors are like, he's not gonna make it through the night, and that's when the Penguin like is like, takes a cyanide pill. So he killed Tim Drake, and you still like him.
He didn't
Tim
kill
Drake was
Tim
running
Drake.
well.
Tim Drake's fine.
He's fine. All right. See you in 30 days, John.
I have lived through so many Tim Drake death fake outs. You're not getting me with this one. Is not going to be the one that convinces.
This
me.
is one where, like, on the page, like the bullet goes through the neck, and you're he's dead. He's dead.
It's pretty rough. Like, it looks kind of brutal, but he's not dead. And I mean, he writes Tim really well. Like, I love the of all the Robins. Like, of course, it is Tim that is the one that's coming to Batman. Of like, hey, man. And this is as much as I like the Tom Taylor Nightwing run. One of the things I dislike it is that I feel like Tom Taylor has taken a lot of characteristics that he likes from other Robins and incorporated them to Dick Grayson.
As it should be.
I mean, fair. Like, that's fine. But, like, Tim is the one that, like, the whole ethos of Tim is that he's the one that is, like, the forever Robin, because he's the one that is always, he's the one that always pulls Batman back from the brink, right? And the one that, like, understands that is the role of Robin. And it's, like, good to see that they're getting back to that after doing a decade of Red Robin.
It's so just like the angsty.
Yeah, and then like that, and I mean, I hate to give credit to Brian Michael Bendis, but the recent like 20 issues or so that Bendis did on Young Justice, like that was Tim's whole arc, was like getting away from that and back to his original, and it was actually quite good. But I really loved the Tim Bruce stuff in this issue. And I mean, that's like, it's like, that is such a core, like Robin is such an integral part of Batman, right? Like, so yeah. I think it's appropriate that if we're doing a Batman through the ages, it's sort of also a Robin through the ages.
Yeah, we've definitely gotten a cross section of Robin Hood through all of this.
Yeah.
I didn't commit to that until I was about halfway through the word.
No, I'm glad you did.
Robin, a little bit of that.
Yeah, this was a good issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I'm glad that I had already read it when I suggested it, but I read it and I was like, I'm glad you guys liked it because I liked it. And when I read it it came out, when we're recording this came out last week, there will be probably 2 or 3 more issues by the time this episode comes out, but
yeah.
I felt like it would be
does
fitting.
Feel like it feels like a good number one. And it
is, yeah.
The stuff at the end with the robot Batman and I don't know, Alfred is like a robot butler or something. I don't know. I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that until you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
But yes, I did not care for that either.
It's a classic comic cliffhanger that doesn't.
Well, I mean, it's also classic Batman. It's like Brother Eye, or Brother Eye.
Yeah.
I think it's Brother Eye, but whatever.
Right.
Like Batman loves making robots. That fuck shit up.
But that is the end. We're not having a 7-way today. Not today. Too tired. 6-way is the final.
7th episode, 6 issues. Can't lose.
Oh, see, this should have been issue 6, guys.
We can change.
There's no way to undo it.
Yeah, we can't technically change the release order.
No. But then, no.
But we've already said it.
All that being said,
we just
Jean-Luc.
edited in saying 6 every time we said 7.
All right, so what did everybody think about Batman number 17 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo?
So Emily, which Batman era comic that we read today did you like the most, and why?
That is
Batman number 17 by Scott
a
Snyder.
difficult question. Honestly, maybe the Eraser one. Just because it was so funny. I had a joy of a time reading it.
Lenny Fiasco, Stealing Hearts.
But I didn't dislike any of these issues, like, on the whole. Like I said, I had some issues with the Carnival issue, but like,
I love that we're like positive on everything, and then the Tom King issue rolls in, and it's like just kills the mood.
I really should have read it before I suggested it.
Well, I mean, like, I think it was a good idea to read it, and I'm glad that I did, because the parts of it that I liked, I really liked. It's just unfortunate that the parts that I didn't like were so annoying.
Yeah.
It also, I think, like, if we're going to do a modern Batman story, that one fits with the other ones that we were doing. So
Yeah. Jean-Luc, before you say yours, which one was Batman 17 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo?
that is the last issue of Death of the Family.
Oh, okay. All right. And the Clayface two-parters after that.
18 and 19 is the Clayface two-parter, and then
Wow.
20,
He's in too deep, guys. He's in too
20
deep.
through 31 is 0 Year.
Wow. I'm sorry you know this, but thank you for your information.
And I think that's when I don't remember what's after 0 Year. I think that's when I dropped off that run.
I read all of it, and there was like Bloom and like Commissioner
But Bloom
Gordon
is
became Batman.
no, but that's
the
way
40s.
later.
Yeah.
It's the second Joker arc. Is that the I don't remember what it's called.
Huh. Well, we'll do a New 52 thing eventually. I think we'll do Action Comics by Grant Morrison. I recently finished that. It's a great.
I got all the hardcovers now.
Yeah, it's a great series. But Jean-Luc, of all the books that we talked about today, which era book did you enjoy most?
It's fitting that you mentioned Grant Morrison because it was, of course, Batman and Robin #1. I mean, that was kind of like locked in. Like, Batman and Robin is probably my favorite Batman comic, gun to my head. So definitely that one. It's just like everything that I like about, that is like what I like about like the last 15 years of comics is like perfectly encapsulated in, most of Grant Morrison's superhero output. So.
Yeah, I similarly I think I have to go with that one. Like I think I did enjoy all of these, but like that one feels like a sizzle reel. Like as far as first issues go, I think it does such a good job to get you excited, and it like literally has like a sizzle reel at the last pages where it's like all these images, and you're like, whoa, there's Red Hood, and there's like Professor Pig again, and there's crazy stuff. It's just like
that is such a good way to market comics.
Yeah, and it's nice when comics can be planned ahead that far, where you can do a sizzle reel. Like, I don't know if you're not Grant Morrison, if you're actually being able to be like, know that you'll have that there. Unless you're like, I guess Scott Snyder could do it too, other people. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for going down this Batman journey.
Thank you for taking us on this Batman journey.
My pleasure.
Hell of a guide.
We got a classic question. We are crying in the book club, but which Batman villain cries the most? Do you think, Emily?
I feel like John should go first because you have way more experience with Batman than I do. You're more likely to have an answer off the top of the dome.
True.
See, I expected you to have an answer off the top of the dome because it's 100% Harley Quinn.
Yeah, okay.
She does cry a lot.
Especially, I think in terms of, like, especially recently, the amount of, like, the way that Harley Quinn has been handled in the last, 5 years or so.
Yeah, I choose not to think about it.
Well, no, but I'm talking about, like, the HBO show and, like, the recent, like, the Birds of Prey movie from a couple years ago and the recent, the Riley Rossmo run on the character. Like, a lot of it is, like, in terms of, like, when you think of like Harley Quinn fandom is like one of the most cringe things in existence, but like the way that Harley Quinn has been handled with the whole thing of her like becoming less and less attached from the Joker, I feel like that has led to a lot of crying. And I also think that like the initial Harley story of like the initial like her origin story is probably one of the more tragic Batman villain origin stories. Close second is there's two other ones. Close second is Clayface.
Oh, I was going to say Clayface.
And then third is obviously Mr. Freeze. But I felt like Mr. Freeze was too easy an answer. Because
he doesn't cry anymore, though.
Well,
he can't.
But see, that's the thing is that like Mr. Freeze is probably crying a lot, but you just wouldn't like everything out. Like his body goes through everything to make him cry, and then he can't.
So your answer is Harley Quinn, Jean-Luc, correct?
Yeah, I would go with Harley Quinn.
My answer is Clayface.
Nice. I mean, he's an actor too, so some of those are real, some of those are not. But he's an actor. Well, and he's always runny. So the old Clayman.
What about you, Alex?
I go with Bruce Wayne. What?
What?
But how is Bruce Wayne a villain?
Wow.
What? Well. He walked his parents down that alley, so come on. He's the reason for all his problems. And he cries a lot because, parents dead. Parents dead. So
God, you really are just doing the Tommy Elliott from Hush thing.
What's Hush? We'll talk about it next week.
No,
we should
won't.
talk about Hush. We should.
We
put
already did
ourselves through
that.
We did that.
Yeah, I know. And if we were gonna do another one again, I would. No, we've already done the Dark Knight, All-Star, Batman and Robin. But
Yeah.
I should have done that one issue.
I would do All-Star Batman and Robin again.
That one issue with the yellow room. That was
See,
fantastic.
This is the thing about me is that like I am a Batman head, but for the Batman comics that Batman fans really despise,
I feel
like All-Star
Morrison
Batman,
they are pretty okay with.
people do not like the Morrison run pre this bat. Like people like it, but they hate the Damian stuff, which is like a big part of it. Like there is a lot of Morrison's Batman that is like, not liked.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, people hate Batman Reptilian. This is something that I've found out recently.
How can you hate Batman Reptilian?
Oh, Batman Reptilian is a ride.
Yeah. Last question. Second last question. Maybe third last question. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Emily first this time. What direction do you want to see Batman comics go in the future? If you were Dan DiDio reincarnated, back at DC Comics, full head of hair, Moxie, what
I don't think they're rehiring him after he did that Comicsgate podcast. I think it's over for Dan DiDio.
I would, because Batman doesn't have any money right now, I would make him get a regular person job and have to balance being Batman on top of having either a 9-to-5 or some sort of service industry job. That would be the direction that I would take Batman. Everyone would hate it, but you know what? It would be my proudest legacy.
That's kind of like Batman Beyond 2, where Terry's all but yeah, I guess it's different because he's a kid and stuff. He's got his part-time job with his girlfriend, but it's
well, and also because he's not someone who has grown up a millionaire or a billionaire for his whole life.
Right, and then everyone would know Bruce Wayne, and he'd be working at the Stop and Shop, and they'd be like, "Hey, fuck you, Bruce Wayne," and he'd be like, "I like it.
Yeah,
I'd do it." Jean-Luc, do you want to steal Emily's idea?
If I had full creative control over the Batman IP, I would hire Chad Waller to write Batman for the next 10 years.
Damn.
And it would all just be Robin and Dog Welder stuff. Batman wouldn't be in the picture.
It would be fucking awesome.
Wow.
I've just always really liked the idea that Chad, friend of the show, I've just always really liked the idea that he had every issue of Batman having a backup that is Alfred and Commissioner Gordon going out for coffee and talking about what Batman did.
That's
complaining about Alfred is complaining about Bruce and Commissioner Gordon is complaining about Batman in the way that parents complain about their kids, but neither of them realize they're talking about the same person.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
And I would love if that was a thing for,
I love seeing Alfred, Commissioner Gordon. Teen Titans Go did a funny running thing where they would just go to sleepovers together and they would just snicker and stuff. They did a Scooby-Doo episode where the Teen Titans had to solve the thing, and the bad guy was Batman and Commissioner Gordon. And they was and then Commissioner Gordon and Alfred. I don't know. Either way, I would burn it to the ground. Get rid of Batman. We don't need him. We've had good comics.
See, they tried to do that with Future State.
All right, I can't do that. You know what? Give Chad the reins and make him write a book about Batman. Working at the Stop and Shop.
That's the best world. The Quick Trip is
Quick Trip.
Quick Trip. Yes. Oh my gosh! And Chad can write himself into the comic, and Joe will be in there too. It'll be great. Wow.
We've solved it. We've created the perfect Batman story.
We have.
Now we just have to get Chad to write it.
Yeah, I mean he writes stuff every week. We just slip him a prompt and he'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Classic writers.
Infiltrate the
Discord.
The writers' Discord group.
All you have to do to join the group is have a Reset Era account. So we could. We're not going to. We could.
We should do is we should join that Discord, enter the writing challenge, and try to win once, and then reveal to Chad after he's talking shit about the person who won. We'll be like, "Oh, hello."
Oh, that would be very fun and also very psychopathic.
Yeah,
a bit.
It'd be a fucked up thing to do to your friend.
Yeah, but nod. Okay, cool. All right, sick. Whoa, You hear that sound? And it's not just Chad disapproving of this idea. No, sir. No, madam. No. It's the Doomsday Clock, which means it's time for our inaugural Cry
First
Space.
ever Cry Space.
I'm very excited. Long time in the work, and this is going to be the part going forward. This will be the part of the show where we highlight one thing that made us cry this week. I've been making you guys go first on everything this week, and I'm going to say no more of that. This is my moment to cry. I don't have anything though yet. So Jean-Luc, what made you cry this week?
That was a roller coaster of emotions.
That is such a cop. That is a hell of a cop out.
I'm hosting this week. Come at me.
Yeah, no, I know. You can.
Right. That's fine.
Make that decision.
With great power comes,
great
comic books.
Evading responsibility.
Ayo.
True. I didn't put much thought into my cry space this week, so but I saw the movie The Thing in theaters for the 40th anniversary. This year is the 40th anniversary of The Thing.
I thought you were about to say for the 40th time.
40th time. Yeah, me too.
No, actually, the inverse, for the first time.
Ooh.
And what made me cry was that I have gone 25 years of my life having not seen John Carpenter's The Thing.
Good movie.
Which is one
Nice.
of maybe the best horror movie I've ever seen.
Oh,
Probably not
awesome.
the best. Blair Witch is still probably higher, but one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. And I should have made a point of seeing this movie a long time ago, but
Wow.
did not. And
you
so,
should maybe watch it again now out of the theater, because I heard some controversy about the version that was put in
Interesting.
theaters. I don't remember what the issue was supposed to be with it, but I saw some people complaining about it. I don't. You'll have, you can maybe look into that and see what the
I
issue
will.
was, but especially since you liked it so much,
I thought it was fucking
great
excellent.
film.
Yeah.
I've also read the the short story, the novella, whatever it is. I don't remember what it's called. But
I don't remember what it's called either.
It has a really cool name.
I've never read it either, and I never read it, never seen it. Also, never read the novella, but
yeah,
I don't know.
movie's good.
Maybe-
Alex, you should watch it.
Yeah, give it a go. I mean, I listened to a flippin' Coheed and Cambria album for you guys, so I can take your recommendation.
Listen to a great album.
It's a good album.
I'm not saying one way or another, because no,
We
I'm
haven't
just gonna
gotten
keep
the
that
Alex cut.
keep that inside. Keep that inside. Emily, what's up? That make you
Not
sad?
much, buddy.
What have you been up to recently?
Well, I fell down the stairs this morning. So
Fucking
that-
Tom and Jerry ass.
Are you okay? Are you like?
yeah,
okay, you can.
I'm like,
okay.
I'm okay. I'm just bruised. I have like a big bruise developing on my
Oh, yeah.
arm.
Oh yeah,
Here, you can
that's
see
like
here, yeah.
that's a gash.
Yeah,
That's a
I have a big bruise on my arm, a big bruise developing my butt. I'm not gonna get up so you can see that one. It was 20% bruised to my body and 80% pride.
bruised Wayne.
Yeah, bruised Wayne.
Nice.
Yeah, Wayne was my dad's middle name. Anyway,
wow.
but yeah, I fell down the stairs, so that's my cry space. Is that I hurt myself and
Why
it
do we
wasn't fun.
why do we fall, Emily? Why do we fall?
To get back up.
I'd say so. Master Moon. Master. I gotta get better at Michael Caine.
Yeah, you gotta work on that impression.
Yeah, maybe I'll just slice his real thing in. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah. Wow. I'd say what made me cry this week was not being on the recently was not being on the Coheed show, and it's been it's been like a very
It made me cry. It made me cry too. When Ambelina dies at the end, it's like, oh my god.
Spoilers.
Thumbelina. It's very
Shut your fucking mouth.
tragedy.
It's
But
a
yeah,
big
no,
moment for me.
it's genuinely been a month where I've been very disconnected from my friends, and it's nice to be doing the show again. And yeah,
We missed you.
now that things are slowing down a bit, which is kind of nice. So yeah, I haven't gamed in a long time too, which might be a good thing. I know Jean-Luc was on the no gamer trend for a while. No multiplayer games. He seemed happier for it. So
It was.
yeah.
In stark contrast, I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys, which is a multiplayer game.
It's free now.
Yeah.
Is that something that we could cross-play?
Yeah, it has crossplay. We should all play together. It's really fun.
Let's play Fall Guys.
Yeah, I've been playing it on my Switch. I had it.
Come on, Jean-Luc, we finally have a game.
I had it on my PlayStation, and then it came out for free. So I just got it on my Switch because that's more likely to be something that I'm gonna play regularly. But it's really fun. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Now that it's free, I would reinstall it.
Yay, that's half the battle.
I paid money for Fall Guys and refunded it.
I never paid money for it because when I got it the first time, it was free on PS
PlayStation Plus, right? Which is why it blew up last summer.
Yeah.
Interesting. I will say I didn't talk Chad into playing Overwatch 2, but this week there were some things laid down, so we'll see come October.
I think it being free helps.
I think I can get him to do at least a session, so that's a win. It's happy tears. But yeah, this is it. That's it. We're done the show, and this was a fun one, guys.
Yeah.
It was a nice little through the ages thing. Maybe we'll do this for more characters in the future.
5 issues.
Yeah, maybe Jean-Luc will do his Quinlan Voss through the ages thing. Maybe he'll give us 5 issues of Vossness.
I will pull that trigger.
Hey, just do it. All you have to do is put it into
Before
the doc.
you know, you'll be reading Dark Disciple, all 300 pages.
Ooh, I read it already.
Oh,
it's good.
See, there you go. It's a great book.
Yeah, we have to watch Kenobi because. But anyway.
No, we don't.
Plug.
We already did that. Unfortunately, much to my chagrin.
We had a goal on our Twitter to tweet more in like the first, I think, 3 months than the Comics Podcast has ever. We're not quite there, but I think we're well on the way.
You're tweeting about episodes when they come out, which is more than the Comics Podcast ever did.
Yeah, but we had such a big fan base back then that we had to keep them guessing. Keep it fresh, keep it going. But yeah, our intern's doing a great job, and stop writing into that they should get paid. They're an intern. Like, come on, it's a term.
It's not what
like,
internship
come on.
But yeah, follow us. Valuable experience,
right?
Doing posts.
Every like can go on your CV there. Like you go to your job interviews and tell them you got like 10 likes on a post. They'll open right up and give you a job. But you can follow us.
I'll need you.
No. Yeah, we got a 2-year contract right now, but we have the ability to get an extra year. The option
and the non-compete clause.
Yeah, again, this is behind the scenes in comic podcast creation or podcast creation. We like doing that. We kind of bookended it at the beginning. We have some now. But if you want to follow that Twitter account, give some likes. Check it out at Crying Book Club. And we are on pretty much all platforms. The one you're listening to on, you'll probably be able to give us a nice rating and a nice review. We really do appreciate that. 5 stars would be good, but any rating. Any rating makes the algorithm do stuff.
If you mention Alexander in your review, then we will read it.
You'll be entered. You'll be entered for a chance to win a visit from Jean-Luc. Yes. Jean-Luc will come to your house with a copy of Batman Hush, and he'll read it to you.
Like
nonstop. Yeah, except when you're read part of a book and you're ready to go to sleep, he'll keep reading. He'll keep going because it's a work of art. Jean-Luc.
Where can people... art. That is true.
Where can people find you?
It is.
Did we just divine a graphic novel? Anyway, Jean-Luc.
You can find me on Twitter at @MountainDewLaker. At the time of this recording, my Twitter is locked because I have an interview tomorrow. So it's very hard to find my Twitter if you're not if you don't know who I am. But on the off chance that somebody figured it out, I don't want potential employers seeing my posts.
I would say the easiest way to find it would be to search your name, find this podcast, go to the plugs.
Probably, yeah.
Unlike when you used to put the Comics Podcast on your CV.
Okay,
the Comics Podcast is still on my resume.
Oh.
We didn't do Aquaman porn until episode 6 or 7. So
the Aquaman porn episode is lost forever.
I have my audio of it, so we just need 2 pieces.
Chad and I don't.
Okay, well, why don't we? Okay, we take my audio, and you guys try to fill in what you would have said, and then we do it's kind of like a director's cut, where the director doesn't remember the original. You can find me on Twitter at Alex Hansiak. I don't really post there. I'm thinking about creating a new Twitter. just to like, I don't know.
You've been saying that for a month.
Yeah, and then like I just like didn't go on Twitter for a month, and it was like a lovely time. So I don't know. Emily,
I got suspended from Twitter for 12 hours last month, and it was the worst 12 hours of my life. For the
what did you do?
I told Matt Walsh to kill himself.
Well, I mean, that's valid.
Sorry, Matt, but we do appreciate your Patreon subscription. And, I like that you're still enough of a fan of the show to, get rid of the bad blood that you and Jean-Luc might have. So much appreciated.
I would not take Matt Walsh's money.
Emily, where can Matt Walsh find you?
Hopefully Matt Walsh cannot find me on Twitter at mpandonata because I have him blocked. But
Matt Walsh, if you want to find me in real life, I'll put your ass down.
Yeah, go find Jean-Luc in real life. That'll be good.
We can do our first in-person recording. We put Matt Walsh down. Talk it out after.
On Letterboxd and Twitch, I am Panda Boar. I am probably, as of this recording, still playing Ace Attorney. I just finished, as of this recording, the 4th case in the first game, which is where the original game ended, but since I'm playing the trilogy version, there is an additional 5th case that I'm about to start.
Is that the one on Switch where you got it's like a nice pack for like $30 or whatever?
Yeah, well, I'm playing it on PC, but yeah, like that version is on Switch also. But that's
such a good game.
Yeah, that is the version that I'm playing, and I have really enjoyed it. It's been really great. So I'm excited to finish this up, and I'm definitely gonna just move on to the next one when I'm done.
Yes, and when you're done all those, you have like the sequels.
Yeah, there's so many.
Not to plan your life for you, but
well, Ace Attorney has planned my life for me. Oh God, we've been recording for an hour and 40 minutes. We need to go.
You do podcasts too. Like imagine being you tonight, Fresh Podcast Market. And that looks terrible.
There was an episode of Fresh Podcaster Market released.
I know.
I listened to it. It was
weeks ago. I was like, I refreshed my podcast app, and it was a new episode. I'm like, I thought this show was over.
No.
I got into the show during I think I got into it in December, and then there was just nothing else, and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just been.
It's a nice backlog though.
Yeah,
so.
but we
100 episodes.
Yeah. More episodes will be coming out this year, definitely.
Yeah. And yeah,
the Snot Girl of podcasts.
Yeah, it doesn't kill it off, but when it does,
more than Snot Girl, I promise.
Hey, Leslie Hung is working on pages.
I put out more episodes of Fresh Podcast Market last year than episodes of or issues of Snot Girl came out for sure.
Yeah, and that's all we can really ask for.
Last year.
That's right.
Very
what
sad.
A horrible year it was.
That's really sad. Hopefully this year's a better one. We're already very far into it, and we haven't had one yet. But from all of us, at this Batman 5-way extravaganza, from our Bat family to yours, stay frosty.
What are we doing next week?
Stay frosty. Right, next week.
Oh, I had already hit it.
Is a mystery. What are we doing next week?
No, it's editable.
Alita battling? Are we having this discussion now? I think we
already know what we're doing next.
Alita Battle
Next
Angel.
week we're doing a Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. We knew that.
Yeah.
We'll edit it together. I think it's funnier if we don't. Good night.